All right, so we are back for another edition of Masks of Nyarlathotep. We are joined by our usual players, and we're going to jump right back in where we left off. You guys were in hot and sandy Cairo. And I just want to point out that I have added a map of Cairo to your journal, so you can pull that up anytime you want and make notes if you want in there, whatever. But that might be helpful to you so we don't have to come back to this page all the time. All right, so here you are in Cairo, and where we left off, I believe you were getting settled into Shepherd's Hotel, which is here. It is the most famous hotel in Cairo, certainly. It's upscale. The customers are mostly Westerners and a few wealthy Middle Easterners.
Where is it in relation to the American Consulate?
It is almost literally across the street from the American Consulate.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, quite close. So your new guide, or dragoman as they call them here, Ibi Musa has gotten you there and has awaited a payment from Thaddeus, and has offered his services for as long as you might require him. Obviously, he can see that you have money, and Thaddeus, I expect, is not hesitant to pay him, so he seems willing. And if I recall, also you had mentioned that you would like a tour of the nearby pyramids at Giza, which he can arrange, and you wanted to go to the Egyptian Museum, and you also wanted him to look for the Street of Jackals, which if you're very... if you're paying attention, you'll see it's actually listed on the map here. You would not know that, but rather than me having to scrub the map, blah, 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 you don't actually know where it is until it's found. It's not that easy to locate. He says he's heard of it, but he'll have to ask some of his compatriots to see if he can locate it for you, and he'll let you know.
Okay, so we're settled into the Shepherd's Hotel.
Yes.
So Shelley will turn to Evie and say, thank you. How will we find you tomorrow?
I will find you. What time would you like me to return?
And Shelley looks at Thaddeus. Late morning?
I think maybe it's close to noon, but being before then, I think would be most appropriate.
A gentleman's morning, then. Yes, I can arrange such.
Thank you.
I will see you here at noon, then. That ought to give you time to break your fast and perhaps even have a light lunch before heading out. Where would you like to go first tomorrow, if I may ask?
Natalia looks to both Thaddeus and Shelley. And maybe we could go to maybe see some of the pyramids, or we could... what are you thinking, Shelley?
I'm thinking we don't want to go to the Street of Jackals quite yet. I think maybe do some research first.
It's going to take Mr. Musa a bit of time to find it, so we have time to research it before, and maybe if there is some sort of don't know, a hall of records or something like that. We could research the city.
Perhaps the British consulate has such information. The residency, that is where I would have to ask, but that would be best done by an Englishman.
I'm quite eager to speak to this Mr. Kafur at the Egyptian Museum, but I'm up for a tour of the pyramids as well.
The museum is open from the hours of 9 a.m. to 4:30 in the afternoon.
And we can go to the museum tomorrow. Still be within the city. And, well, just do some research before we head to the pyramids. See if there's anything specific we want to look into while we're there.
All right, then. The museum sounds like a good place to start, Mr. Musa.
Excellent. We will start tomorrow at... You still wish to begin at noon then?
It is a good time, and she'll look to Thaddeus. Thaddeus needs some extra rest. It is a American thing.
The heat here is very difficult, even at this time of year.
Ah, yes, the heat. That's what it is.
He says, well, I will wish you a very good evening, and I will see you tomorrow. And he puts one hand to his breast and gives a little bow and exits the hotel lobby. And you can check in. You can get a suite if you would like.
Yes.
All right. A suite it is.
Is it individual suites, or is it like
It's basically a main room with 2 bedrooms off that main. You have your own little private like gathering room, and then 2 bedrooms and your own private bath.
perfect?
Yes, nice big room where we could be together. Safety is a forethought.
Yes, the separate rooms have caused some difficulty in the past.
Yes, I think it's safer to be closer.
All right. And a couple of eager bellhops take your cases up with you to your suite and help you get settled in, show you around, and ask if there's anything you'll be requiring.
Just if you have any whiskey or vodka, that would be wonderful.
That is easily obtained from the bar.
Thank you.
He will have both sent up.
Thank you.
Yes, make sure there's plenty of it. We don't want to go thirsty now, do we?
He smiles and said, "I will see to it." And they retire. Of course, you have to tip all 3 of them: the 2 bellhops and the what's he called? The
Party?
Hmm?
The
Concierge.
yeah.
Yeah, essentially.
He would tip the bellhops, and then he would tip the concierge a little more.
Of course. He doesn't even glance at the money, but you've dealt with enough of people like him. You know he must have given it a very quick scan, because he smiles and nods and thanks you, and goes out. And in fact, he kind of gives a little snap, and the 2 bellhops fall in behind him, and they leave.
Talia looks to Thaddeus. Are you sure you should be drinking so much, Thaddeus? Considering.
Well, it hasn't failed me yet, but it's been a while since I had a lot to drink, so probably won't overindulge these. But I won't let that stop me from having a glass or two.
Well, I'll definitely join you in a few glasses.
What time of the day is it?
It would be evening by now. You're guessing you probably have an hour, maybe. The sun is already kind of starting to disappear over the buildings.
Well, Shelley starts to unpack and review notes, trying to. There's so much information to process. And she knows there's a lot that was mentioned, or at least, it's kind of scattered here and there, things about Egypt, and she's just trying to kind of piece it all together.
Okay.
And Natalia's gonna go over some of her notes. Was anything else added to the narcotic manuscripts at all?
I have not added.
Okay.
I actually forgot to check if there was any
Oh, no.
progress.
There was some progress, I think, from what we wrote.
Oh shoot! All right.
Okay.
Yeah. If we
Shame.
take a quick break,
No, it's
break,
okay.
I will check it and update it. Yeah.
No worries.
The notes I see in our campaign notes is something about Giza then Sikara. I don't remember what Sikara is, but I think maybe it's something we need to.
Oh, I think I wrote that. I forget what I wrote that about.
It must be some place that the Carlyles went.
Yeah.
They were looking for third dynasty artifacts, and they went to Giza then Sikara. So we need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it might have been the spelling too.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if we actually had it in the notes, then Darren can correct us.
Mm-hmm. I could, yes, indeed.
Oh.
Yes, it's probably Sakara.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sakara.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to pronounce it from looking
Mhm.
at it. Yeah, that sounds much more familiar.
Yes, indeed.
Oh. There's a question that I'll ask Moose tomorrow. Natalia kind of brings it up as she's going through her notes. One of the things, it wasn't what they were looking for, the Kerala expedition, but they said they were going to look for King Solomon's mines.
The diamond mine.
It was the excuse to come here. The cover story. But I wonder how far exactly the Great Rift Valley is from here. Probably fairly. I think it's more up towards Kenya.
Well, there would be something we could look up. But yes, I do think it'd be further away than we'd be willing to do. It'd take us out the way a lot, unless you think they really went there.
It is apparently where they went next. Just from I think it was the documents that I got from Carlisle's sister. The analysis from doctor. But I think we should focus on here first. See if there's anything before we leave.
Well, I'm sure it won't take long for them to find us as we're start digging into things.
They probably already know we're here.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't see any way to keep our arrival here a secret for long, we stick out.
Yes, and it's hard to notice anybody following us with all these people.
The only thing we perhaps have in our favor is no one knew where we were going. They might think we went in several different directions, and communication between England and Egypt is going to take a while.
At least a week or more. We at least have that time. I think we should try to accomplish as much as we can.
I agree. We can't sit on our hands. Thaddeus, I've been thinking. I know you've spent quite a lot of money on these ancient tomes, and I'm not sure exactly what we've learned from them, but I'm sure there's been some bits of useful information here and there. But those scepters that I took from Gavigan, they actually work. There's got to be more information out there about things like that.
Oh,
There-
I'm sure there is. It's not a question of buying or anything of the sort. It's more about finding them, I would assume.
While we're here, I mean, these scepters obviously originated in Egypt. There's got to be people here, people who oppose the cult, that know things about this. I feel like if we're serious about opposing people who know how to do these things, we need to learn as much as we can. We need to be armed in the same way they are.
And if we can find something that maybe is similar to what Gavigan did to Alan, but in reverse, there must be a way.
Let's keep our... I'm sorry, go ahead, Dad.
Well, it's like I said, I think it'd be more about finding them. I mean, it's not like people are just gonna come forward and be fruitful with the information we need. If you know, or people that know people would be providing information. That's. I mean, we could put something in a gazette, something cryptic.
I'm hoping that this Ali Kafur, he's an intellectual. I don't know if he would know anything personally, but he might know people who are experts in this area. He might be able to point us in the right direction. At the Egyptian Museum.
We can hope, at least.
You're a good judge of character, Nat. When we talk to him, I know we can't really trust anybody, but we're gonna have to ask questions. Questions that, to the wrong people, are going to let them know who we are and what we're after. But anyway, I'm hoping that not everyone we meet is an enemy, and we're just gonna have to risk it at some point.
Well, I think you're on to something there. I think maybe we've been going about this all wrong by trying to hide amongst everything. Maybe the more blatant we are with our questions and stuff, because after all, it's if they don't know, it won't take them long to know that we're here and that we're digging.
And I mean, I think Gavigan knew before we were even really aware that he did. I mean, that note that was in his desk that we stole.
Exactly. So at this point, I think that if we just be out with it whenever we encounter people that may be able to help us, we should just be out with it. The worst they could do is try to kill us. What they're gonna do anyway.
Speaking of that, let's make our first stop tomorrow, the American Consulate. If we're not gonna work, super hard to keep our presence here secret, we might as well let them know we're here, so that if we need some assistance, we've got the backing of the American government.
Hopefully, at least they are on our side. I have doubts, but what else are we going to do?
Well, Thaddeus is important enough that they have to at least pretend, right?
You're right.
Well, that's it. As long as we can avoid the British authorities as much as possible from them grabbing us and taking us back to jolly old England.
Oh, good heavens, I hadn't even thought about that. She shudders.
Do you think they'd really bother?
Well, it depends who's pulling on the purse strings there.
True. And Gavigan is. She looks to Shelley. Fortunately, he's still around.
Yes.
Well, all we can do is move forward. All we can do is keep trying. It's too late to go back now.
I agree. And I have to believe that as many bad things as that has happened, we know more.
I'm just concerned about what we're going to do with the information. I know Elias wanted to let people know that is his main thing, and then people were sent to kill him. But I don't know. Maybe letting as many people know as possible is honestly the best course of action.
All right. Well, I don't know what our ultimate goal is either, other than making this as difficult for these people as possible. But I'm exhausted. This day has been incredibly long. I'm going to wash up and try to sleep while the weather's cool.
I will as well. And though once the alcohol comes up, I will join you for a few drinks then.
Yeah, even in the hotel room, there are fans on the ceiling, but it's still, the air in here is hot. Like, there's just no escaping it.
Well, I suppose I could be the gentleman, and he looks over at the doors leading to the bed. Suppose you guys could have those comfortable beds, and I'll take what's left, and looks over at the couch.
Well, I'm not sure that couch is
They
much different from what you're used to sleeping on at home.
they could arrange the two bed. Like, you could get one of the bedrooms have two beds in it if you'd like.
Sure.
I guess that'd be a good idea.
I don't mind sharing.
Neither do I.
And then it's settled.
Especially since it's on Thaddeus's tab. And they do, speaking of his tab, they do bring up your drinks, and kind of stock a little bar for you, so you can serve yourself whenever you want.
And Thaddeus, of course, would tip him generously again.
All right.
And that bar is never to be emptied.
Of course, sir. I will see to it.
And Talia will go over and pour drinks for Thaddeus and Shelley. Here's to Cairo, I guess.
Yes.
Ah, yes. The never-ending rabbit hole.
Unfortunately. And she takes a very deep drink of the whiskey she poured herself.
Shelley doesn't drink much. It's just so warm here. It's not very pleasant. But,
Yeah, it doesn't
Takes
exactly
care of you.
cool you off what he had them bring up. Now, a gin and tonic, that's something that could cool you off. But that's an Englishman's drink.
Before she goes to bed, Shelley tries to. She's got, I'm sure they've got trunks or something. They brought their things
Sure.
in. She does her best to make sure that the headdress is tucked away and hidden among clothes and whatnot, and
Okay.
the scepters as well. I mean, she's considered taking them to the front desk and making sure that they put them in a safe, which I'm sure they have.
Mm-hmm.
But,
The headdress certainly fits in with the clothes. It looks like just some kind of feathery flapper's outfit if you don't look at it closely.
you know what she's going to do with the scepters? She's going to put them with her toolkit, thinking it might blend in better. With
Okay.
not her small toolkit, but like her trunk that she keeps real tools in.
Right, okay. Yeah, they would certainly blend in there.
I guess for the rest of the evening, probably Thaddeus and Natalia drink while Shelley heads to get ready for the evening. I don't think Natalia would have anything else too meaningful to discuss. Just lamenting England.
Yeah, small drunken chatter.
You have a little balcony too, by the way, off the main room.
Mm.
So you can go out and look over the city. You're on the 3rd floor. So you can look out a little bit over the city if you have any desire to do that.
Natalia would head out there at some point with a drink and lean over the railing, staring out into the city.
The city is remarkably quiet. I mean, once the sun goes down, there's some activity, but you're kind of used to being in cities where there's nightlife, and there isn't a lot. It seems like certainly the streets right around the hotel are pretty quiet. Just a person walking here or there.
She's gonna actually, probably it's not gonna mean anything, but because of how quiet it is, keep track of who walks by and even maybe who might be looking up towards where their room is or anything like that.
Okay. You can certainly make a spot hidden check. See if anything jumps out at you. No, there's no one stands out. One person kind of looks up at the hotel as he passes by. You're not sure if he was looking at your room specifically or not. Certainly didn't stare at it a long time and just kind of moved along. He looked like a local, not a European.
Yeah, I think it would be the locals that she'd be keeping an eye on, not so much Europeans.
You can see other balconies with other guests that are out on the balcony having a drink, smoking a cigarette, chatting.
She'd stay out there for a little bit, but eventually finish off her drink and head back inside.
Okay. At least was a little cool out there, though not as cool as you were probably hoping.
That is what it. Just keep drinking. Ask her if she's seen anything out of the ordinary, anything like that.
She shakes her head. No. Everything seems as normal as possible. It's quiet out there. It's really comforting in a way. reminds me of home.
I think that's how it's gonna be. I don't think we're gonna be able to notice much. Like I said, there's too many new things, new people.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope there's. I always hope there's not going to be problems, but there always is.
Well, we're in the thick of it now. I would think this is where they all came and met their demise in one way or another.
Yeah, and I don't know, Thaddeus. I mean, it's too late to go back. We can't stop at this point. But when do you think we can stop?
I think that's the thing. We can foil so much, we can help people so much, but in the end, there'll always be more taking up the main.
So you're saying this struggle is futile almost.
I guess it's we can tell as many people as we want about it. It's still either too insane for people to believe, or the people who are warning people against are too powerful to get them to.
Yeah, all we can do, I guess, is just spread the word as much as possible. Get as many people involved against them. I mean, that's what Elias was doing. It's the entire reason we're doing this. It's because of him.
Yes, this is true. And at some point, I think we'd get satisfied with our justice, and perhaps the people that are after us now, and with so much trouble that we could cause them, that they'll end up leaving us alone in the long run at some point.
At some point. I sometimes hope that either that day never comes or it comes at some point. I don't think I'll be seeing Svetlana anytime soon. Unfortunately.
And we could take solace in the fact that she's in a safe spot.
I'm glad they got to spend a little time with her before leaving again. She takes another drink of the whiskey, fills her glass back up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that I made the right choice, Thaddeus. And I doubt it sometimes.
I mean, it's hard to say that it is the right choice. We've been what we've seen and what we've been through, but at the same time, we kind of stumbled into it and dived in, hoping to find the killers of our friend. As it turns out, it's more numerous than we think. So many places, so many people, all connected. We stop one, others come.
There's no way. Well, I think there is some way of stopping it. There has to be. There's got to be some ultimate goal they're attempting. I mean, I think I have guesses as to what it is, but not really at the same time. This is the one they worship, the one with many faces. I don't know if they have an ultimate goal or what they're doing is just to preserve their work. Almost like Judaism or Christianity, just doing their rituals and such, except their rituals involve human sacrifice. But if there's a further plan for them, something ultimate they're trying to accomplish. Like with that thing that Shelley was unfortunately helping them with. I think at least what we're doing might either help stop it or at least delay it.
Well, that's the hope. But I mean, we could delay it a lot. It's to me, it seems like it could be never ending because I mean, look where we are. We're in Cairo. We just left London. Both places, there's bound to be many enemies, and us fleeing. The only hope we can do is that maybe we can stop them in some way. But we left England, and I don't think we did much. We left New York, and I don't think we did much there as well.
Hopefully we'll at least do something here.
Well, we do learn.
True. Maybe that's enough. I don't know. But I will say I'm happy I'm doing it with the both of you.
Well, at least, yes. We get the people that we can count on.
It's hard to count on anyone else at this point.
That is true. Anyhow, we'll hold out his glass. The cheers. Drink it down.
She holds up her own, pauses for a moment, looking over Thaddeus before taking a long drink and settling back in the chair. I might just sleep here tonight. I can see why chairs are so comfortable for you.
Yes, I do miss my chair.
It was a nice chair.
It was. No, these chairs don't hold in comparison. They usually are comfortable. They're supportive.
At least we have supportive chairs.
It's all about the small victories.
Natalia laughs before finishing off her drink and settling into the and most likely falling asleep in the chair.
Thaddeus would probably end up doing the same.
All right. Well, I would say Shelley probably wakes in the morning to the sight of the two of you asleep in your respective chairs, still in your clothes from the day before, marked with sweat stains and dust and sand.
And she would just kind of putter around for a while, maybe order up some tea to the room, and wash up, try to enjoy the fact that it's probably not blistering hot at the moment.
It's not too bad. And if you open the glass doors to the balcony, the air is a little cool out there.
Yeah, I think while she's waiting for them to stir, she won't start bugging them till it's closer to noon. She'd order up some tea and take it out on the balcony and watch the traffic, look to see if there's anything suspicious. Just kind of meditate and observe and try to make out bits of the Arabic that she's hearing.
Okay. It's busy, the street already outside. And you can see down below there, the hotel has indoor and outdoor dining in its rather famous restaurant. And so you see a bunch of Westerners having breakfast out on the, in the outdoor tables down there. And a line of Cairo locals all lined up across the street, waiting.
Waiting for what?
You're not sure. But they're clearly kind of camped out there, and you count there's about probably between 25 and 30 of them.
She'd call down to the front desk and ask what's going on out there.
I'm sorry, miss. What are you referring to? What's going on out there? I'm looking out the doors right now. Everything appears quiet and normal.
I just may not be familiar with what normal is. Why is everyone lined up and camped out there?
Oh, those would be the dragomen, miss. If you require any of their services, I recommend that you go through our desk. We know the most reputable locals.
I see. Are you familiar with an Ibi Musa?
Yes, I know his name. He is. We have contracted him on several occasions. A reliable man.
Ah, well, that's good to know. Thank you very much.
You have a good morning.
The man at the desk, was he Arabic or British?
He sounded Arabic. You noticed the staff is clearly overseen by Brits, but most of the staff is Arabic.
Okay, well. She'll just continue to watch and observe and wait until the other two are stirring, and
Okay. Yeah,
if they continue to kind of sleep it off, she'll eventually wake them up.
You're, I assume, somewhat amused probably by every time a Western group leaves the hotel and goes out to the street, which is pretty crowded and busy. They're immediately mobbed by people from across the street offering their services. And usually, in most cases, they give in to one of them, and that one happily goes off, leading them wherever they're going. And the others kind of go back. Most of them seem to take it rather cheerfully that they weren't chosen, but there's a couple that keep not getting chosen. You can see they have kind of sullen expressions.
How many Westerners does she see as she's watching out this morning?
Like percentage wise, or like what are you trying to gauge?
Just how much they're gonna stick out, like.
Well,
as
on
quite
this street, there's quite a number of Westerners. But that wouldn't come as a surprise to you, as this is the hotel, for Western. I mean, there's other hotels, but this is. I mean, this street, obviously, this little area caters very strongly to Western people, and you see the American Consulate right across the street. So this is probably not a good sample.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, she'll eventually order up some breakfast for them and then start waking people up.
Okay.
Talia wakes up and rubs her eyes. I didn't actually think I'd fall asleep on a chair. It's comfy.
Always gives me a crick in the neck, but I've ordered some breakfast. I think it's about that time.
Perfect. Hey, go get cleaned. She'll
Yep.
stretch.
And with breakfast, they ask if you would like to take a bath. They
Nah.
can have boys bring water up to the tub.
Yeah, she'll definitely take them up on that offer.
Okay. There is a stream of young, uniformed boys bringing pairs of buckets in to fill up the tub for you.
She'd idly just kind of watch them work away before she looks at the other two. I'll be quick.
Strange. I hope we all don't have to take baths today. Could be quite a process.
Well, if you'd like to go after me, I'll make sure it's still warm.
I just need a bowl of water. Guess I could take one tonight. I assume filled with whiskey is as much work as this is taking.
I think maybe I'll take tomorrow morning. One thing that Shelley actually is going to do, she's been thinking about Mr. Musa, and she has decided that she's not going to speak Arabic to most people that she encounters, but keep in mind that she is going to make a concerted effort to eavesdrop on any conversation that people in their room are having.
Okay. Will do. All right, so you take breakfast in, and it's getting to be noon. And Natalia has had a nice bath. If either one of you wanted to use the water after her, you certainly could do that.
Sure, get as clean as possible.
Thaddeus would get some fresh water in a bowl and give himself a
Sponge bath.
yeah.
Sponge bath.
He's used to them.
Yep. Russian girl bathwater and sell it. Yeah. I don't know if that's a thing, but it could be. You could start a new business.
It's a business in the future, so
Yeah.
we'll start it now.
It might sell in Japan, especially. All right, so all right, it's we'll say it's about noonish, and just to remind you, it is now Wednesday. That was Tuesday's day gone yesterday.
Okay. So as they get done and they're all ready, Thaddeus, are you gonna carry a pistol?
Oh yes.
I think we have a couple. I'll take one, even though I'm not great with it. Obviously, not toting a shotgun around.
Yep. How about a Molotov cocktail? I see it's still on your list there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those are easy enough to make.
It's a dual purpose in case Thaddeus gets thirsty or you
Stay
need
out
to
of my
burn
purse,
some-
Thaddeus.
Yeah.
I'll slowly replace it with water.
That will suck big time.
Yeah, that one you need to use it. Hey, the fire went out really quick. Okay, and you can see EB has joined the queue of people over there, though he's not making any move to mob anyone. He just seems to be waiting there, and he's kind of looking at his fingernails and waiting patiently.
I guess we'll head over and wave to him.
I guess Natalia will probably stand out in front in case people try to get too close to Thaddeus or Shelley.
Yes, that you do immediately get mobbed. Why don't you just try an intimidate check for me, just for yucks?
Oh, I don't intimidate. No, I don't.
Nah, no, they're just too intent on trying to get. But Musa kind of um, disengages himself from the wall across the street and hurries over, and he starts yelling in Arabic. And Shelley, you understand? He's saying, "They're mine, they're mine, they're mine," and they all kind of disappointedly when they figure out you obviously recognize him from the way your eye contact with it. They all kind of back away, disappointed again. And EB comes over and he says, I hope you slept well and are looking forward to the day.
I suppose we slept as well as we could have. It's quite stifling up there.
Excellent. He said, perhaps am suggesting perhaps we take the tram to the museum. That is the most direct and enjoyable method.
We wanted to make a quick stop at the American Consulate.
Well, you are in the right neighborhood. He points across the street.
Wonderful. Let's just go say hello, shall we?
Yes, I suppose we should introduce ourselves. That saves us some trouble later.
Darren?
Yes.
I didn't say it before because honestly, in the moment, it didn't occur to me. But it's been her ritual to use the scepters every morning. Are we going to say she forgot, or are we?
No. If that is if that's your morning routine, we'll assume the routine, and if it becomes relevant, we'll quickly go through the process, and I can figure out what the result is, though you won't exactly know what happened until things happen, right? So, but yeah, we'll assume that you are doing that.
Great.
Gosh, you're just like a little disciple following in his footsteps with the morning ritual.
I will usurp him.
You will become the new Gavigan.
Yes, that's how the campaign ends, with Shelley dominating the world, and and she has totally gone over to the dark side. All right, so Musa says that he'll wait for you right outside, and the three of you can go into the consulate. It's pretty quiet in the consulate. It doesn't look like they get a lot of business or visitors, and it's not a very large building. You're guessing, judging from the size of it, it's 2 stories and maybe 4 rooms on each floor. Not very large ones. And there's a marine there, and a clerk of some kind. And he just looked and he says, yes, can I help you?
Yes, but I just arrived in the city, and I would to introduce myself to the ambassador, of course. My name is Thaddeus Pepin.
Yes, I'll fetch the ambassador for you if you'll just be so kind as just take a seat over there. And there's no fan in this room. You see he had a hand fan he was using. And he goes and comes back with this fellow in tow. And he looks over at the 3 of you and comes forward and puts his hand out to shake it. And he says, I'm Frank Nasford, the ambassador for the United States here in Cairo.
Well, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Thaddeus Pepin, and these are my friends here, Shelley and Natalia.
Thaddeus Pepin, I've heard of you. You're a New York millionaire, right?
Ah, yes. And
Uh,
also, unfortunately, a wanted man, I'm sure, to our British counterparts.
I'm sorry. He said he said I got distracted by your lovely companions for a moment.
Yes, yes. Well, we had some trouble in England, and we got ushered out of there by your fellow ambassador over there. This is where we ended up.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Well, we figured we'd stop in and introduce ourselves, just in case we run into an issue with them here.
Well, that's very very kind of you. Would you like to come back? I can I have some nice cool water, or if you'd like something stronger. We're not in the States.
That would be lovely.
All right, come right this way. He said they tend to love their mint tea here, but I have to tell you, I've never quite taken to it.
Oh, it sounds cooling to me.
It'd probably be better if you added whiskey in.
He says, well, Jones there likes it. Maybe if you'd like to try some, I can have him make you some. He says, Jones, get this young lady some mint tea. And he starts fetching you some tea. And he says, so you got kicked out of England, eh? That's and he said, so what put in your mind to head on over to Egypt, I wonder?
Well, we are continuing our process of which the travels we have started from New York to England. This is the next logical step in what we're doing.
Is that an enterprise you're interested in sharing with me, or or are you just mentioning it to tease me? And he kind of winks at Shelley when he says that.
She just looks a little startled because she'd been lost in thought and kind of blushes and looks away, a little bit flustered. Yes, we're just interested in Egyptology.
Well, I guess you've come to the right place then. You'll be surrounded by it.
Yes, Egyptology, and of course the murder of one of our friends.
Oh, well, I'm very sorry to hear that. Anyone I would have heard of?
Well, it's doubtful, but perhaps, and he'll look over at Natalia.
Elias Jackson.
Sorry, the name doesn't mean anything to me.
Yes, he's.
We're in business together.
Yes, we had some business with quite a long time ago. Well, over 4 years ago now, with Mr. Augustus Larkin.
I
You might
see.
have heard that name, but we're actually following.
He
similar-
just kind of shakes his head. No.
No, that you must have heard at least the Carlisle expedition.
Sounds vaguely familiar. Tell me about that.
Does he really seem like he doesn't know what it's about?
Yeah.
Are you not familiar with millionaires coming over to Egypt to disappear?
Oh, well, I'm not aware of any Americans that have come over here to do archaeological digs since I started.
Yes, so some years ago.
Yeah, you can try a psychology check if you want. Oh, well, I've only been here, a year and a half now.
Oh.
That makes some sense.
Well, how are you liking it?
It's damn hot and stuffy, to be honest. but it's interesting. I'm from the Midwest, and there are bits and pieces of it that remind me of home, and then there's a whole lot that doesn't, if you know what I mean. It's a strange place, but the people here are interesting. I'll give him that. And he says, to be honest, there aren't that many Americans that come here. It's mostly Brits.
Well, they own a slice of the world everywhere you turn around, it seems.
Mr. Nasford, I was wondering, and she starts to reach into her purse, would you be able to post a letter for me?
Of
Back to
course,
the
it'd be
United
my
States?
pleasure.
She hands him a letter.
I'll put it with the
To test
diplomatic
it.
dispatches. It'll be safe, and you can be sure it'll get there as fast as possible.
I'd really appreciate that. It's possible that I'll receive some correspondence while we're here. Would it be all right to come back and check?
I'd love that. And he smiles. He says, is there somewhere I can reach you, or would you prefer to drop in every day and check to see if there's any new messages?
Oh, we're just at the hotel across the way.
Oh, Shepherd's, yeah. That's a good choice.
Yes, I'm, as you can see on the return address, I'm Shelley Franken.
I see. Well, perhaps, I mean, my room is in the Shepherd's Hotel as well. Perhaps we might meet casually over a drink sometime.
She
Be a
seems-
short walk.
Sure. I'm sure it would be nice to have some conversation with another American. Thaddeus and Natalia are wonderful traveling companions. But,
Oh, and they're welcome, of course, both of you. All three of you, rather.
but I have heard most of their stories a few times now, so maybe we'll. A change of pace would be nice.
Sure.
Maybe Thaddeus and I can find somewhere to go shopping that day. And she'll look over to Shelley.
And Shelley, for a minute, doesn't really get the implication. She just, but I want to go shopping.
Oh, she looks over to Mr. Nasford. We'll make sure we go shopping. It will just be shopping for alcohol, and
Oh.
you can stay here at the hotel.
Okay. Yeah, sure. You
Says, well, you're,
obviously don't need my input on that.
says you're going to have a little bit of difficulty finding alcohol in Cairo if you don't know where to look. I can hook you up with that.
Natalia just gives a very empty smile to Frank. Thank you.
Yes, yes. And then perhaps later we can introduce him to our other friends, Frank and Alan, and not them. And he kind of give a stern look over.
He says-
Shelley seems a little confused by that.
He
too.
says, oh, there's a whole party of you, eh? Well-
Unfortunately, not here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they've fallen behind a bit.
I see.
Yes, we seem to be leaving our friends behind everywhere we.
Well, it was lovely meeting you, Mr. Nasford.
Yes, and he stands up to shake each of your hands. Well, shake Thaddeus's hand, and he starts to shake Shelley's hand, and then switches to trying to give her hand a kiss if she lets him.
She'd let him, but like feel very awkward.
Yeah, and he obviously isn't used to doing that either. And then he just kind of awkwardly shakes Natalia's hand, and he says, "Well, I'll show you out."
Great, thank you. So I suppose we'll be seeing you around then.
He says, "Do you have a plan for the day? I can recommend some dragomen out there. They're gonna mob you as soon as you try to leave this place."
Oh no, we already have one.
Oh,
Thank
good,
you.
good. And you're sure he's reputable?
Yeah.
All right then. Well, you all have a wonderful day, and I'll be seeing you around the hotel. And he kind of winks.
And Shelley just smiles and then kind of hustles out of the consulate, and for some reason the outdoor seems much cooler than the indoors to her at least at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Need I remind you what happens to all our friends that come and join us?
That was not me.
You don't have to bring up past things like that, Thaddeus.
Well, I would just hope that sooner or later we stop collecting bodies.
Well, I agree. We need to be cautious, but it's inevitable that other people will become involved at some point. And she kind of shrugs, but I certainly have no intention of forming some romantic dalliance with that fellow. He was nice enough. I'm sure we'll keep it very casual. We are going to be seeing him in the hotel after all.
Yes.
Yes, why don't we think about all the other people that we left behind, like Benjamin as well, and Rory. She kind of glares at Thaddeus, bringing up past things.
That was very indelicate, Thaddeus.
Well, again, I just tired of bringing people to their death and demise.
Well, we can just the three of us then. We'll meet our demises alone, but together. How about that?
It's kind of smirk. Well, it's bad enough. I think that our man, Mr. Musa's, is gonna find himself in trouble, kind of leading us around town. If he's not
And
already
speaking
connected.
of him, he's right. He's approaching you now as you step out.
Ah, Mr. Musa, your timing is impeccable.
I try to please. Are you
yes.
ready to begin our journey?
Let us go.
Good, good. He says, just down this street. And he just leads you a short way down the street here. These red lines are tram lines. And you don't have to wait very long. And tram comes along. And you can ride it all the way to the towards the Nile, and then over, and the museum is there.
Oh, that's what we do.
Okay. So you get a little bit of a sight of the city during the day. And Shelley, to your question, once you leave that little area, you see very few Westerners. You see a couple of British officers walking down the street, and what you take to be a kind of British businessman hurrying along the street. But that's really the only Westerners you see on that little trip.
Okay. Shelley does start to feel extremely exposed, but just kind of squares her shoulders and focuses on the architecture and, other surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you arrive at the museum. That is the actual museum, by the way. All right. So, EB takes you inside, and he says he will wait for you right out front again until you're ready, unless you know you're going to be here for a great length of time. He might go off and take care of other business, but if you would like, he'll wait here for you.
Thaddeus would look at him. I don't suppose that you know a lot about Egyptology and stuff like that.
He says, it depends on your definition of that word. I am an Egyptian and I know some things. I do not make a profession of digging.
Just if we have questions after we look some stuff up, if we be able to ask you, would you by chance be able to answer?
I will always attempt to answer truthfully and as completely as possible.
Good. Perhaps if you stay close, is there a cafe that you can go to that, in case we run across something?
Yes, yes. Right across the street. He points it out. He said, I will just await you there then, my friend.
Perfect.
And he goes across the street. All right, and you, I assume, go inside. They do ask for a donation, and I actually have a map of the museum, if it is of interest to you. And I've put that in your journal.
So how does this compare to what we saw at the Penhew Foundation or
Oh my god! I mean,
British Expo?
this puts that to shame. The Penhew Foundation's collection is minuscule compared to what you have here.
Thaddeus will see the donation thing. Look over at Shelley and Natalia. Well, how noticeable do we want to be?
Let us not be very right now. There's some things I want to look up.
Okay, so I'll do the smaller one, I guess. And if we need some, look into some back rooms or whatever else, or something that's not on display, then I'll up the ante, I guess.
Okay. What would you like to look up, Natalia? Or what are the three of you sticking together, or are you kind of going off and doing your own things?
Natalia's just gonna go.
Okay.
Departing from the other two. She's gonna look up Nephron Ka.
Okay.
Shelley would go to an information desk and ask if Dr. Kafur was here.
Okay. He is indeed. You, they say you will find him in the Q section.
And she'll refer to
On the first floor.
the post-it map and say, "Oh, thank you very much. Well, I suppose I'll see if he's available to speak."
Thaddeus would just go sightseeing around the museum.
Okay. Fair enough. So, Shelley, you go to the Q section, and the museum is not very crowded or busy. There are only a couple people in the room at the moment, and one of them is clearly not employed here. They're, obviously a tourist looking at things. So the other one you kind of assume probably must be the doctor.
Shelley will approach him and give a hesitant wave. Dr. Kafur, I presume?
I am. And who do I have the pleasure of speaking to?
I'm Shelley Franken. I'm an American visiting with a couple of friends, and I was told that you are quite knowledgeable in a lot of the things that we might be interested in. I wondered if I could bend your ear, or if you are quite busy right now, we could make an appointment.
He says I am not overly busy at the moment. What is the matter that you are concerned with?
Well, I'm not quite sure how to begin. First, I'm assuming, well, maybe I shouldn't assume. Did you ever speak with Aubrey Penhew or Roger Carlyle?
Aubrey Penhew. It's a name I have not heard in a while, but yes, we were actually good friends. Or so I thought. Colleagues at the very minimum.
Did something happen that made you question whether he felt the same about your friendship?
He pauses and gives you a curious look, and he says, "It seems we are putting the cart before the horse a bit here, as you Westerners say. I am Dr. Ali Kafur, as you know, and who am I speaking to?"
Oh, she had actually introduced herself, but she'll do it again.
Yeah, he you can tell he was distracted and initially only giving you half his attention.
Sure. She'll say, I'm Shelley Franken. I'm an American traveling with some friends who were interested in some of the same things that Mr. Penhew was investigating, was looking into.
I see. Are you also Egyptologists or archaeologists?
Well,
Says I've not heard your name before, and I make a point of meeting most people interested in our profession that arrive here.
I would be taking on airs to suggest that I were any kind of an Egyptologist. I'm learning.
That is
But,
always good. One must start somewhere.
My interest is more recent. My companions have been learning about this a bit longer than I have. Are you acquainted with Charles Hall?
Charles Hall. The name escapes me, I'm afraid.
He was a famous Egyptologist in England he was famous anyway. I was acquainted with his daughter.
He puts up a finger. Yes. During the war, I believe I met him once or twice. Yes. I did not know him very well, but yes, he came to the museum. I'm quite certain of it.
She gives a little smile. I didn't know him personally either, but his daughter was an acquaintance of ours and following in his footsteps. It's a bit of a story about exactly how I became interested in all this, and I'm sure it's a bit boring anyway. But I was just, with their Mr. Penhew and Mr. Carlyle being obviously unable to, I can't consult with them. I wondered if I could talk to
Quite.
people that they spoke with, rather than start from scratch.
He kind of nods indulgently, but you can tell he's a little uncertain where this is going. And at this point, Natalia comes into this room. She was kind of directed here when she mentioned Nefren Ka. A couple people didn't even know who you were talking about, and then one Says, oh, you'd want to go to room Q and speak with Dr. Kafur about that.
Ah,
So
Natalia.
so Natalia, yeah, she steps into the room now, and there's Shelley talking to a man.
Oh, Natalia, she looks a bit surprised and kind of comes up. Oh, I was directed here, supposed to talk to Dr. Kafur about finding the book I need.
I seem to be very much in demand today.
Oh, I apologize. Natalia Vaskovia.
Ah,
It is a pleasure to meet you. She'll
the pleasure
stand.
is all mine, of course. I am Dr. Ali Kafur.
Natalia, Dr. Kafur was acquainted with Aubrey Penhew,
Oh,
and you were directed to him as someone who might be able to. Well, why don't you tell him what you were looking for exactly?
oh. She looks to Shelley for just a moment before looking to Dr. Kafur. I'm attempting to research any books which have to do with Nephron Ka.
He kind of raises an eyebrow when you say that name, Nephron Ka.
I see you know of it.
I do. It is
And
not a name spoken much in our circle.
it might not be spoken much, but it is been fairly prevalent in much of the things we've been looking at and studying. It's something that I'd like to get a better understanding of.
I see. You are not alone in your interest.
Oh,
Mm,
she'll cock an eyebrow. I assume that you have at least some, quite a bit of knowledge if you knew Mr. Penhew before his apparent death.
He nods. He says, yes, Mr. Penhew was quite interested in Nephrenka, as well as I.
If
Go ahead.
what is it that you find so interesting about Nefrenka?
He says, I'm afraid my opinion is not a very popular one. He says, I am not quite the modernist that many in our profession are. I believe the old ways are not quite dead. Not as dead as we would like to believe.
Well, I study engineering and science in America, and I've always been a bit of a skeptic, but I have to say, recently I've discovered that I think that there's wisdom that we've lost. We underestimate people who lived long ago, I think.
You can see he's responding well to that comment. His face softens a little and he nods in agreement.
We have had, well, we are still fairly new with the information, but it is something
Well.
that we are very interested in learning more about and exploring.
He says, well, new to the information is a curious comment. There is very little known about Nephron Ka. I would venture to say I may be the foremost scholar on this person in perhaps all the world. And I would claim that even I know very little. Certainly too little to make great conclusions.
I'd love to hear any information. All the information that you do have, Doctor.
Might I inquire what use you intend to put any knowledge you would gain? What is your curiosity? What drives your curiosity, may I ask?
Well, we have had run-ins with a few individuals, not just individuals, but other groups who maybe not Nefren Ka in particular, but at least have knowledge and experience with what he believed in, at least. And we wanted to know more about that. It is hard for us to get the information exactly from them, but and she pauses for a moment and rubs the back. We're not planning on widely distributing it or anything like that. We're planning on making a fortune off any information that we know. And
We're
He
certainly
laughs. A fortune. You are a good joker.
not. Well, I know that there are artifact hunters. We're certainly not one of them. We're interested in knowledge and not taking anything out of Egypt.
That would be unusual indeed. But you know, I believe you. I think you are in earnest.
Do you... And she bites her lip a little bit as she says it. Do you believe that there are groups of people that still practice worship of this Nefren Ka?
He nods. I do. I am quite certain of it, in fact.
She looks at Natalia, as are we. Natalia hinted as much that is the source of our interest. We are not part of those groups, but we wish to learn more about them.
You believe that you have run afoul of the Brotherhood of the Black Pharaoh?
Is that what you call them? Yes.
It is what they call themselves.
We have run into them in a few places now.
Then I am sorry for you. I confess I know only incidentals about them, but everything I have heard leads me to conclude that being on their wrong side is probably going to get you in deep trouble. I would be very cautious. Again, I am not familiar with the details of your interactions with them, but even so, I would advise caution.
I am assuming by the way you speak that you are not part of this group.
Heavens no. I am an academic. My interest is purely academic. True, I have a fascination for it. It is, as you say, he kind of nods at Shelley, something I believe we as a race, or species, perhaps more properly, are losing. A connection to old ways of things that our ancestors knew to be true, and which we would rather, well, we get distracted by more modern things. But I believe they are here, still influencing our lives and being worshipped by those who remember them.
There's and she looks around a bit, very nonchalantly before looking back to the dog. Does the name Nyarlathotep mean anything to you?
Yes, I have heard the name and read of it.
Read. I have not found any books. My only experience is reading through notes, through what other people have left, the notes people have taken regarding it.
Well, I have only seen it mentioned in one place.
Where's that?
A book that I would not recommend you read. Certainly not a pretty young lady such as yourself.
Shelley comes forward a little bit. As you say, we have run afoul of these people. And anything that you've heard about them, it doesn't do them justice. They're terrible, and we've seen them do things that, well, anything we read in your book, I don't think it would compare to what we've seen them do.
You have seen things. You have seen what they do then?
We haven't seen the rituals exactly, but we've seen the ritual spaces, the obelisks. I think it was a pit or something that was in New York. People tied, having these masks over their head and screaming from the inside.
And you
Murdered with
can remember
scepters.
them when you say it. Their faces come back to you.
There's a chill down Tali's spine. She wrings her hands together. She remembers.
He puts a hand on your shoulder for just a moment, and he takes it back quickly. Forgive me.
It's
I have
okay.
grown accustomed to Western ways, unfortunately.
It is fine. I'm sure there's definitely more things that we haven't seen that are worse than what's already been witnessed.
But we have seen the lengths that they'll go to guard their secrets, I suppose. And they're
Indeed.
quite ruthless. I feel that at this point, we know too much to not learn more, if that makes sense.
It does, strangely.
And we were hoping that we'd find someone precisely like yourself. It almost seems as if we were meant to find you, that you know exactly the sorts of things we need to learn.
He kind of nods his head side to side as if considering maybe that is a fair statement. He says, I do not dismiss any possibility. I am too old and have seen too much. He says, in any case, it seems that you have become embroiled in something that is dangerous. It would not be kind of me to send you away unarmed. Perhaps I should arm you with knowledge.
That would be most appreciated.
Very well. I do have duties here, but perhaps we should meet after hours to discuss this.
Of course, is there anywhere that we can meet you?
No, you can meet here. I just don't want the public to be present. And he kind of looks over your shoulders, and the person who is, perusing things, is still looking at stuff, and he's kind of keeping his voice down a little. He says, "Come back at 5 o'clock. We will have a private discussion then."
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be there, and you have
Don't
another-
thank me until after you've heard what I have to say. He smiles.
believe me, we really will be grateful. Our friend, Mr. Pepin, he'll probably be with us as well.
He is a sharer of your experiences, then, I assume.
Yes, he is.
Very well. Then he is welcome.
Thank
I
you for
wish-
your time.
Yes, I wish the two of you a good day. And again, miss, I apologize for my earlier indiscretion.
It is okay. Thank you.
He just nods and turns back to his... He had a notepad he was jotting some things down on, and as you go, you can see in the reflection of one of the display cases that as you go, he kind of turns and watches you go, and you just see just a curious look on his face.
Shelley is half nervous and half just giddy with excitement as they leave the room. And she kind of clutches Natalia's. She puts her arm through Natalia's and kind of leans in. Finally, someone with some answers.
I know. It is a bit exhilarating in a way. We finally can find something out, so we're not just bumbling about.
Oh, we need to tell Thaddeus.
I think he's looking at some of the displays, you know him.
If I were you, I'd look for anything with breasts, nudes, things like that. That's probably where he is. Naked statues.
Naked goddess statues.
Yes, definitely. Or do I misjudge you, Thaddeus?
I mean, he could possibly be there. It's just, he's just wandering around.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's not that hard to find him. As I said, there's not that many people in the museum right now. It's not super crowded. And most of the people in here are foreigners. So there's certainly locals, and you imagine some of them might be students that are here for academic reasons. But there he is.
Yeah, you would just see him staring at one of the many statues that are there.
They hurry over, I suppose. Thaddeus!
What? Oh. Yes. Was it a fruitful visit?
We spoke to the doctor. We're going to meet him after 5 p.m. today. Here, he has some information regarding everything we've been looking into.
I suppose it gives him enough time to dress up in his robes and mask and carry a sword.
Well, before we even brought this up, I asked if he was acquainted with Aubrey Penhew. And he said that yes, he hadn't heard the name in a long time, but he had thought that they were friends at the time. Something about the way he said it makes me think that at the end he questioned things that Mr. Penhew was doing. I don't think he's one of them. I really don't.
Well, nonetheless, I suggest that we just keep our eyes out when we're here.
Of course. Have you discovered anything here other than cat-headed women without tops on?
Yes, these are very peculiar, I must say. I
Um,
should I should have a collection to my mansion, I suppose.
yes, these would definitely make a fine addition to your collection, that is.
Yes, put them right out in front. Everybody would be able to take in the joyousness of cat-headed female.
I do not think that Svetlana would be very approving of these nude cat statues.
All the nude dogs appear to be male.
Ah, yes, and appears they have some time we could correct run some of.
Okay. Well, what shall we do until this afternoon?
You can try the local food.
Ah, that sounds like a good idea.
You almost hate to leave the museum, though. A lot of the floor and walls are granite or some similar cool stone, and so it actually felt noticeably cooler inside the museum than outside. So you're kind of dreading the heat wave you're about to step into.
Why don't we stay a little bit longer? We can I'll find some books on the pyramids of Giza or something.
Or that Sikara place.
Yes, I'll look that up. Cigars.
Well, the library here is actually fairly small. This is mostly a museum of objects and not books. But there is a collection of things related, and actually not a bad collection at all. A good amount of it is in Arabic, unfortunately for actually all of you. Shelley, you know, if you're not super literate in Arabic.
No, she can read baby books.
Yeah. So, but you can certainly do some looking up, and it's not hard at all to find that Saqqara is just south of Cairo. I'll show you on the map. You can actually see the pyramids of Saqqara are down here, which is maybe 20 miles as the Biaki flies.
Oh. So they went from pyramids of Giza down to the pyramids of Saqqara.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to. At least we know the way. At least the direction.
Yeah, it's it's not that far. You're not traveling a ridiculous amount of time. It's certainly an hour's journey, but not too bad.
Well, I suppose Dr. Kafur can direct us on what sites might be most promising or related.
Yes.
Yes, as long as he doesn't kill us first.
Well, at least we'll die in the library.
I could think of worse, warmer places that I'd hate to die in.
Like outside.
Exactly.
Don't worry if things come about. I'll make sure to be upfront. You've already been in the hospital a few times, that is.
A few times too many.
Yeah, we'll try and make sure that does not happen again. That
Well, I'm sure this hospital is not quite up to par of the other one.
so it's confirmed. We'll make sure you do not go into hospital.
You should call ahead, Thaddeus, and arrange a room for yourself for when you need it.
I think we'd just be better having a doctor visit our suite.
Yeah, yeah.
Should we check in with Mr. Musa?
Yeah, maybe he knows someplace good to eat. And she kind of looks towards the exit and grimaces. I don't want to go outside.
I wish they had some place to eat in here, but that's silly, isn't it? We're gonna have to eat sometime.
I miss cold winters of Moscow.
This is about as different from that as I can imagine.
It makes you have thick blood for all your life, so I sweat constantly here.
I grew up in Vermont. I feel quite the same.
Ah, yes, well, I'm a big guy, and I grew up in a cold area. It's not too pleasant, but
Well, speaking from a scientific standpoint, our bodies are remarkably adaptable. I think in a few days, it won't feel this bad.
Maybe we should go shopping for some clothing. That way I'll be lightweight but cover skin.
Yes, and we'll never acclimate if we don't experience the heat of the day at some point.
I guess let's go see how Mr. Moose is doing.
Okay. You find him happily chatting away with people in a cafe, having a good-natured but heated conversation over coffee.
What are his
And-
opinions on coffee?
You don't know. He's speaking in Arabic. Shelley, you can try an Arabic roll if you want to try to discern what the conversation's about. I'll give you a bonus die or a bonus die will tell you just a general. If you, but just go ahead. I'll explain. Nope.
Nope.
Oh wait, you can't. That can't be right. You have a 0. So that is not correct. Let's make sure we did this properly. Huh. Language Arabic 6.
Yeah, I only have a few points in it.
That is interesting. Why it's not picking that up, though. Because that's supposed to be your skill 6. Skill 6. Let's put that. Let's see what it does there. Huh. Oh, I see what happened.
Worked that time.
Yeah, because I changed it in a different place.
Okay.
Alright, let's do that. I don't know what that was before. Did you had language German and...
Yeah, I have German.
Yeah, okay. Okay. It's functioning now. You don't know.
Yeah.
and he stops and he says, how was your visit? And he just gets up and he just kind of wishes them a good day. And you can tell by the way he talks, these guys were strangers to him. Like he obviously just met them in the cafe, and he comes right back to you all, and he says, "I trust your visit was a good one."
That was most successful. we are going to at least stay around the area past 5 o'clock, I think, today.
Oh, Oh, they close at 4:30. You know.
We were invited back for after hours.
I am impressed.
Yes, I have to thank you for your referral. Dr. Kafur is quite knowledgeable.
I have heard as much. He's a very smart man. He says, well, what is next on your agenda? The afternoon is still young.
Well, we were thinking about some food, perhaps some food with some sight.
Your heart is in the same place as mine. I must confess, I am always thinking of food.
Perfect. So perhaps you know of a place, and if you'd like, you could join us.
That might be very improper, sir, but I thank you for your offer. Are you interested in local fare, or would you like something more suited for Western stomachs and taste buds?
Probably for the Western stomachs. I do not know how the unfortunately local food will interact with
He
our.
says, well, have you tried the restaurant at the Shepherd's? It is very famous. He says, I'm afraid that there are several places that cater to British, and that would be our other choices.
I want to try the local cuisine, but maybe something you consider on the less adventurous side.
Yes, I have something in mind then. And he'll take you to a little family establishment, and you can tell he is informing the owner that he's with Westerners and to adjust accordingly. And you hope that doesn't mean poison them. And so he greets you in very broken English, obviously not very. He knows just a few phrases of English, and they prepare a meal for you. And it's a little on the spicy side, so however you handle that, but it's different. It is a lamb dish, and with some savory spices, a little heat. Probably not what you're used to.
I think Shelley likes it because I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, if we're going off that, it's not spicy at all.
It's not goulash, but it's good.
Yeah. And the afternoon kind of passes. Meals you gather drag out. So if you're looking to waste time, going to a restaurant and eating is a good place to do it. It's not like back home in New York where you eat and you can tell the waitresses are trying to hurry you out to make room for someone else. You're fine hanging out there for hours and just sipping tea and having a little bit of this and that if you want. They don't seem terribly busy. And so we'll just say that you kind of take up to about 5 p.m. It's getting close to 5 by the time you're completely done, and by that point it's like there's no point in really doing anything else, so you just wait a little bit longer and then it's about time. And so we will pick up on Tuesday with you heading back to the museum. In fact, we'll start assuming you are back at the museum, and you have been the guard at the door has been informed of your arrival and allows you inside and escorts you back to a room in the museum, and that's where we'll start.
If we arrive and he's dead in a ritual kind of a way,
I'd be so
I,
pissed.
I quit.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that to you. Instead, I'd have him about to tell you something really amazing, and then the blow dart comes out of nowhere, and he and falls over dead, because that hasn't been done a million times either. Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I'm
Brennan.
excited for next time.
Yeah,
Answers.
I won't leave you in too much suspense. He is not dead.
Hooray.
And it does not appear that you're about to be ambushed. He greets you soberly. He seems a little less jovial than he was when you, if you can call that jovial. Relatively, let's just say, by comparison, he was in a jovial mood when he met you the first time.
Right.
All right, I'll see you all soon.